Welcome to Touchline. I'm your host, Anthony Totera, once again at the 2012 Hall of Fame Dinner and Banquet event. And right now, a very special guest all the way from Italy, Enzo Concina. Enzo, welcome back to Canada, the country you love, the province of Ontario. There's a lot of special memories here. You are here because you have been recognized as one of the best players that Canada's ever produced. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's good to be here, first of all. Thank you. And what can I say? I grew up here in Mississauga, in a small club there by Port Credit, with an Italian coach that had the passion for soccer, and most of my stuff I learned from there. He was a traveling soccer team. We went all over the States, Florida. The first time I took a plane at 13 years old to get to Florida, and so that was probably what gave me the drive the most, right? And of course the fact that that I was advancing, and then I got a break for a tryout in Italy in 1982. I was out with the national team in Vancouver on a program that was created to prepare for the '84 Olympics. And during the summer, while I was back in Toronto playing for Toronto Italia, I had this offer for a tryout in Italy with the First Division club at Cesena. And I never came back. Never came back. And, they had just won the World Cup, Italy, and all the best players were there at that time. Platini, Maradona, Briegel. I can knock off all these players. Boniek. All the best players were there at that time. For me, it was heaven. And to think that I started off in Port Credit or in Lakeview there was rewarding, right? Because if I did it, I'm saying, a lot of other kids can do it. Of course, I had a lot of work to do because I lacked certain skills. Because here you'd only play 4 or 5 months a year, right? And there, the kids my age, from 10 up, they were practicing 4 or 5 times a week, 10 months a year. And after 10 years, those 4 months, 5 months difference is enormous. But I caught up slowly, year after year, and I got up to the important stuff relatively late. Let's say I was a late bloomer, also because of these limits of not being able to train. Fortunately, here now things have changed, and kids can play indoor, and they can play more months, and that's what they got to do. They got to play as much as possible. Play as much as possible. Even little kids that are 10, 12 years old train 3 times a week at least for 10 months a year. And I think you can get places that way.
Well said. Enzo, talk about, I'm sure you have a ton of memories of teammates that you had here in Canada, but also in Italy. Mention some of those teammates, but also a culture too that meant so much to your development and your growth here in Canada and going overseas to Italy.
Well, of course, here Aldo Lista was fundamental because he had me in my prime. I mean, in the important years from 10 to 15. Aldo Lista, this Calabrese that lives in Mississauga, that is still my friend today. He came to see the final there in Rome with Juventus. 81 years old. He's a hell of a guy. And then, of course, here with the Toronto Italia club with Fioreggia Pagliuso. With all those big guns, all those veterans there, I was let's say a rookie, and playing with all these guys, Schiraldi, Mike Burke, Pellegrino, Joe Pellegrino, Riznita. I can name off. I'm going to forget a lot of them right now, but I mean, these players had played at important levels. Most of them also in Europe, and to play with them was also very forming for me because I was a kid, right? So that was important also. That gave me maybe a little advantage when I did get over to Italy, and I played with professionals in First Division because I trained with the First Division club, and that's the club that picked me up, and then they put me out on loan because I had Canadian passports. I had to play a couple of years in the lower divisions to become an Italian to all effects. And and then on in Italy, you get to you see people Inzaghi, Filippo Inzaghi when he's a kid. He was in the with the youth team in Piacenza. And then Pepe Signori, who went on to become one of the biggest goal scorers, one of the top goal scorers in Italy of all time, and Claudio Gentile, which subbed me when I tore ligaments in my knee. They got him out of retirement to sub me, and that's all things that are gratifying to play with these guys that 5 years before you've seen them win the World Cup, and then the next day they're there with you, and slowly. I got pretty far. I didn't get the first division as a player, but then.
But you persevered, Enzo. You never gave up.
Persevered, and a little bit of luck, and now I got back in coaching, and finally I got the first division.
And you're with Napoli right now. You're on the technical staff, and congratulations to you. And what a team Napoli is this year. Unbelievable team. A lot of homegrown talent as well. Enzo, let's talk about, before we let you go very quickly, you're back in our country, our great country of Canada, that people love all over the world. But unfortunately, we're struggling still to get to the World Cup. You've seen so much Canadian talent here. You've seen Italian talent back home. What do you see as the missing ingredients? You mentioned that the kids here need to continuously practice and have touches on the ball all the time. What would you do if we put you in charge today here of Canadian soccer?
Well, it's difficult. Also because here there's a lot of competition. You got big powerhouses like the States and Mexico, and then you got those other small countries. They're small, but they got histories. They got hundreds of years of history of soccer. You're talking about Cuba. Honduras, Guatemala, Salvador. What's that other country? Mexico. We said Costa Rica. These guys, even though they got a limited population, they have culture of the game, and that creates a little edge for them, and it's not easy. But the only thing I could say is to be able to advance a little bit more is the infrastructures, of course, and they've done a great job here with that, and then the educators, people coaching. You need people that know what they're doing, and you got to pay them, because a lot of people are doing it for free, for passion, but sometimes it's not enough because people can't carry on their careers and then coach in a serious way. So you got to make decisions. You got to say, okay, we need an alternative to professionalism. We need something just under that's missing, and maybe that's one of the first solutions I'd say to carry on.
And so, how hard is it for the Canadian kid, the Ontario kid, to go from here to try and ply his trade in Italy, in Germany, in Switzerland? Because you said it yourself before we started taping. You left late. But we're seeing now that a lot of kids are leaving even early at 10, 12, 13 and still having trouble. Is it the mentality when they see a Canadian kid, an Ontario kid there, that they go even extra hard because they're taking food off the table of an Italian kid, a German kid?
Well, you don't have to go there when you're 10 years old. You can even go when you're 14, 15. That's good enough. But then again, you have everybody that wants to play soccer. Every kid in Europe, every kid in Canada, every kid in the United States wants to become a professional soccer player. The competition is fierce. So therefore, it's not a question of being Canadian or American or whatever. It's just that there's so much competition out there, and it's difficult for anybody. But professionalism isn't the only thing. There's also the lower levels. The lower levels meaning coaching, even for a guy that can't make it, or there's scholarships to get an education. Soccer can take you to a level where you get an education. It's not only getting there, because if you're thinking only about getting the professionalism, then maybe you're putting too much pressure on yourself. But there's so many other things you can do without having without thinking that getting to Europe is the only thing.
We can't close it out with getting your prediction on the Euro 2012 starting in a matter of days, Enzo.
I have no idea because we've been just under so much pressure with our league play. But of course, the only thing I can say is that's going to be the same countries as usual that are going to be competitive because they have tradition and they know how to get far and that's the same teams as always. Spain, Germany, Holland, Italy is going to be a competitor, and maybe a couple of surprises. But normally these teams here don't make mistakes.
When people heard that Enzo Concina was in
Of
town,
course, England. I can't forget England, of course, because they're a powerhouse. They've always been unlucky, but they're also going to be a contender.
when people were told that Enzo Concina was in the house and he was coming here this evening, I saw a ton of people lighting up with smiles, with memories, and wanting to talk to you. Thanks for coming back to our great city of Toronto and Canada. We welcome you back. Good luck with Napoli, and hopefully one day we can see more Canadian kids come to Italy and Napoli.
I hope so.
Thanks for joining us on Touchline. Enzo Concina, what a player for Canada.
Thank you.